In this video, I will show you how you can add a rubric as part of your due work to give feedback to students on schoolbox. Here I've got an example of a rubric that I've made already, so it'll look like this. So what you might notice is that your rubric has got different groups on the left-hand side, which is broken down into subgroups, and then you've got your descriptors and levels at the top, and each one of them has a mark. So I'll show you how you can make a rubric that looks like this. First thing you want to do is you want to create activity and create a due work. Now you can make due work on your class page or you can make it on your course outline, and you can add a rubric as a way to give students more detailed feedback and also to give a clear idea of what is expected out of that assessment to the students so they have a better understanding of what it is that they need to give you as part of their work. Here what I'm doing is I'm writing a description for that task. You can select if you want to accept online submissions, and then you need to go down to mark type. Now here it says mark type. You have a few different options. You can choose to give your feedback as a percentage, total mark, or a letter grade. So I'm going to select total mark. Now at the bottom where it says use rubric, you want to select that. Now you will have two options, mark per capability and use mark range. Now if you select mark per capability, you are going to have a mark for each one of the groups that are on your rubric. If I select use mark range, what it means is you'll have a drop-down menu and you'll be able to assign points from that drop-down menu. So I'm just going to select use mark per capability, which means for each of the capabilities you'll have a different mark as well as you'll have that total mark. I'll explain to you what each of the different sections on the rubric mean. Now the first section you have is your capabilities. Now the capabilities are the areas that you are assessing, or in other words, these are the different groups. So you have all these skills that you want the students to be able to show. Now all these different skills are going to be grouped, okay, and capabilities is just another name for all the different groups. This is just to make your rubric more organized and easy to read. Next, you have your indicators. So once you've decided on a capability, which is your larger group of skills, you're going to branch them out into more specific skills. So for example, if you were looking at oral presentation as part of your capability, you can branch that out into eye contact, visual aids, and preparation. So you have your capabilities, which are your groups, and then you have your subgroups, which are your indicators. Next, you have your levels, which are the stages. So each student is going to be at a different level or a different stage. So you can choose how you want to define these levels. So you can use words like beyond stage, at stage, progressing towards stage, below stage, or you can use words like exceeding standard, proficient, moving ahead, or not meeting standard. So you can define how you want to word these different levels. The last one is your descriptors. So once you know your capabilities and once you know the indicators that you're assessing, you just need to describe what that actually means in simple words. So if I was at a beyond stage level, how would I be able to describe that? If I was at the expected level, how would I describe that? If I go back to the rubric, you'll see an option that says apply results set. Now what that means is if I were to select this, it's automatically going to write the different levels for me. So if I click on apply, you'll notice at the top, it's automatically has very poor, average, good, and it's automatically given points for the different sections. So you have that option if you wanted to use that, but I'm just going to start from scratch and I'm going to define the levels. So that's the first step. You just write down what those different levels mean. Here I'm just writing at expected, approaching expected, below expected, and not shown. Then you need to type in your capabilities and your indicators, and then you need to describe the indicators. So here my capability is content, so that's my group. Then in that group I'm writing my subgroup or indicator, which is information, and then I'm just going to describe what it means to be at that different level. Okay, so my next indicator is grammar and spelling, and it's still under that content group or content capability. So I'm just going to describe what the grammar and spelling means. Then you're going to assign points at the bottom. Okay, here you can see It's from 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Those are the different points. And at the bottom, it's even showing me what's my maximum points per capability. So if you remember at the start, we selected have points per capability. So that's what that means. So at the bottom, you'll see that each capability has a mark. So I can have a total mark, and then you have your each points for your capability. Okay, so it's just another way to give feedback to students so they can look at which capability they struggled in or which capability they really exceeded in. Okay, so once I've finished adding all my capabilities and indicators, you can check and you've given all the points to everything. Okay, you can go down and then you can click on create. Now once you click create, I'll show you what the final product looks like. So if I were to click my due work, here you've got your rubric, your final rubric, and it looks something like that. Okay, so you've got your capabilities on the left hand side, then you've got your subgroups or your indicators. Okay, so that's my capability, content, organization, presentation, your indicators, which show what each of those capabilities mean, and then you've got the descriptors, which are describing everything in that rubric, and you've got your points and levels at the top. Okay, so now I'll show you how you can use that rubric to actually mark students' work. So if I go into back to my due work on the class page, if you were to click on view status, just like you would normally mark your due work, the rubric will appear as this. So what you notice is when I put my cursor on one of the indicators, it's got that blue color, and I can simply select which point or which level I want that student to be at, right? So I just mark their work, and I just click on which point I want to assign, and at the bottom it'll automatically come up with the total grade. Okay, it's come up with total points. You can give them a feedback and then press submit. Okay, the last thing I'm going to show you is how you can reuse the rubric that you already made on schoolbox onto another due work for next time. So if I go back to the rubric that I just made, you go all the way down, there's an option that says download rubric as a CSV. So if I select that, it's going to download a file, and I can use that file onto the next due work I make so that I don't have to write that rubric all over again. Okay, so if I were to, for example, create another due work, and you create your due work as per usual, so give it a title, write a description, and if you go all the way down to where it says use rubric, select that, then you go all the way down, there's an option that says click or drag to import a rubric. So if I select that option, and I'm going to select that same file I just downloaded, click on upload, and then click create. Let's go all the way back down, click on create. Okay, now let's see if that worked. So if I click on that due work, that rubric just appeared.